I call this meeting of the Clermont City Council to order, workshop, I guess I could say. This afternoon, just a reminder, City Council workshop meetings are for information gathering and discussion purposes. The City Council will not vote on any issues at the workshop meetings. The Council reserved the right to discuss additional items or delete items from the tentative agenda. I think we only have one thing on the agenda this afternoon, is this legislative priority, but before we go any further, I'm asked, if I don't mind, Mr. Van Wagner to do an invocation for us, please.
Father, I ask that you would give us wisdom today in every decision and everything we do. And we ask that everything we do would help all the citizens of Clermont. And we ask for your safety and your protection over our community. And we ask for your continued favor. And thank you for all that you've done over the years and what you will continue to do. So be with us now in all these decisions, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated, please. All right, before I turn it over to Mr. Van White, I had a note here saying happy anniversary. I think I heard something. I think I just heard them confirm it. It's your anniversary. So
Today is 30 years for me and my wife. Thank you so much.
So happy anniversary.
Thank you.
But with that being said, I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, some of our staff would like to make some presentations to get your input and see what you think about these options for the legislative priorities. We did have an opportunity, Councilmember Howard and I yesterday did get a chance to talk to Taylor Yurkovsky yesterday for a little bit to run some of these things that the staff suggested to him as well. So we have some feedback for the council today and just wanted to let them share with you. So if that'd be okay to proceed forward,
Yes.
I'd like to start with Public Works if we could with you, Stoney.
Absolutely. I'm going to hand it off to staff, but I'll be up here for any questions you may have. So we're going to start out with Mark Griffin with our first legislative appropriation request.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can we utilize the computer? So our first appropriation request is going to be for our north side alternative water storage. This is a project that the city has received funding in the past, appropriations for already. Our additional ask this year is going to be for an additional $1 million to go towards the land purchase and construction of this project. So the ask is, the project is related to constructing up to a 3 million gallon storage tank. This will be for irrigation water. This will go towards our priorities of alternative water supply, and also it'll increase our system hydraulics. The map you see before you here is going to show the area that we're looking currently at for properties where we construct this tank. It's going to be on the northern side towards kind of the old Highway 50 corridor, Highland Ranch area. The city does currently have 2 realtors working on looking at land acquisition for us at this time.
So where the cursor is, this is the area that we're looking in. So it'll feed the Highland Ranch area and the Summit Greens area for additional storage.
How much space does it take up? How many acres?
We're looking for 3 acres would be good.
This would help eliminate the problem we have with pressure up there in Highland Ranch,
This will
right?
assist with that, yes, sir.
It'll take care of that, and the other is we're looking for the additional storage as we expand the wastewater plant to when we produce more reclaim.
Okay.
Will this hold any reclaim, not just reuse? Are we doing any stormwater reclaim up there?
No
Not
stormwater
for that
reclaim.
area.
Okay, so this will just be a reuse.
That's right.
Thank you.
Well, it'll be a blend, so it'll be
A
well
reuse
water.
with a push behind on the well. Okay.
That was, I thought it wasn't 3 million gallons?
Yes.
Yes.
And how many homes can we serve reclaim with just the 3? Oh, I'm sorry.
Initially, what we're looking at with this one is going to be the Highland Ranch subdivisions and Summit Greens area.
So we can do both of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
How many homes is that?
It's going,
Highland Ranch should be about 1,400 homes itself. 1,200, I think it is in Highland Ranch.
it'll be close to 2,000 homes.
Yeah.
So 2,000 homes for $6 million.
Yep.
And that's for, I apologize, some of these conversations are over my head. So what do we need this for?
This is for additional storage.
Okay.
As we expand our wastewater treatment plant, so it'll give us 8 million gallons of storage. Right now, currently, we have 5. And plus, it'll help out with pressure issues we have on the north side, because that's at the end of our service area.
And this is, we're talking about wastewater, we're talking about reuse, and we're talking about reclaim,
All the above.
all of it, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
now you
will
said
this-
there'd be no reclaim.
There's
I mean,
no-
re-
storm,
reclaim.
stormwater will not be
Not stormwater, but-
stored at this location.
If you call reclaim, reuse, if you look at the definition, they're all basically the same. Water, wastewater, irrigation water, stormwater retention. But there is no stormwater retention included in this one.
So this is, the water from the toilets and the sinks goes into this facility, it
Once
gets
it's treated.
cleaned,
Once it's treated.
and it can be used for irrigation.
Correct.
So it's treatment of the wastewater, and then it's also irrigation.
It's treated at our existing wastewater plant and sent up to that location.
For irrigation,
Correct.
okay.
What is, now you said it was doing part of Summit Greens. What does the golf course there run off of? Because I thought that was required to be on,
They have a pond out front. If you go down Hancock and see that water dumping in there, they have their own well source. And they
Okay.
have their pond out front right there that they supply with the irrigation.
and that does not affect our consumptive use. Perfect.
Yes.
And
That's-
this slide is just a summary. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we're not gonna be able to service Verde Ridge with this?
Verde Ridge is currently not set up for this, no, sir.
Okay.
What does that mean, not set up? In other words, there's not enough capacity, or there's something with pipes?
The piping,
So we could service Verde Ridge, we just don't have the pipes.
we don't have the infrastructure in there to service those.
Could we in the future? Yes.
How
We
much
have
would
to go
that cost?
Millions.
How many?
Well, if you, I don't know how many roads in there, just before we got in here, so if it's $100 to $150 a foot, and there's, I don't know, 2 miles of road in there at 5,280 feet per mile, there's the math on it. That's a rough ballpark right there, what it would cost.
But how are we treating their wastewater, how are we receiving their wastewater now? We're not having an issue receiving their wastewater in Verde Ridge and Highland Ranch and.
The
Summit Range?
wastewater infrastructure is there. The irrigation infrastructure for using reclaimed water is not there.
So you got different pipes. You got the green pipes for your sewer that comes out of your toilet into our wastewater plant. Then you got the purple pipe, which comes out of the tanks and feeds the irrigation systems throughout the city, which is a blend of reclaimed, which is wastewater, and well water.
Okay.
But we,
A quick question, what are they utilizing now for their irrigation?
It's fed from potable,
Oh, so they're using potable in Summit Green?
not in Summit Greens.
Which one are you talking about, Verde? Which, Mr. Peterson, which one are you talking about?
I mean, you were saying that this is gonna service those two communities,
Those two
right?
communities right now are on reclaimed water. They have the
They-
reclaimed piping, but they're at the very end of our service area on the north end of town.
Okay, so it's a pressure issue over there for them?
They do have
They
a
do have
pressure
some.
issue, yes.
Right, but do they have their own pumping system there?
No,
To up, no, they
Only for
don't?
the golf course.
So we pump it all the way from the wastewater plant on the south side of Hancock, all the way north, all the way down Hancock.
Is this gonna save money on the irrigation bill for the folks in the two communities?
I don't know that it would save money because our irrigation, unless the council decides to lower the irrigation rates, it would stay the same.
Does reclaim cost more or less than potable?
If you look at the treatment system, it costs more to make reclaim because of the process it has to go through.
Okay.
we still haven't found a location for this.
Yes,
We still,
go ahead.
Good.
we currently have 2 realtors that are working on acquiring land purchase for us.
Okay.
So I'm just
Is-
looking, Sorry, go ahead.
Is it, out there off Old Highway 50 across the street?
They're
I know
looking
we-
in that whole corridor up there, yes,
I
sir.
know the HOA at one time had tried to give us some land there, but we had ran into some complications there and everything, so that didn't work out, so we're across
It
the
would be
street.
great if we had that piece of land.
Well, I think it's
We'd
the
be
most
in really
logical
good shape.
place and everything. It's the most logical place, but if they don't want it there, we can't do nothing about it, so.
So, just so everybody knows, can you explain why the consumptive use forces us to do this? With our, with a cap on our consumptive use? How it makes it worth it to do the reclaim?
The city's only allocated so much water that we're allowed to withdraw out of the ground per our consumptive use permit. So any of that water that we can offset by utilizing any of our reclaimed water does not go against our consumptive use permit that we can withdraw from the ground.
Our goal is to use 100% of our wastewater, put it back out into the system is our goal. So that when we get, like, right now, we're in for a permit modification. They're gonna put stipulations there on things that we have to do. We don't know what all is gonna, part of it's gonna be irrigation and reclaim. You know, it's gonna be conservation, it's gonna be landscaping. They're gonna want all the above.
So you are addressing the question I have, which is why would the state want to pay for this? And because I'm looking at the presentation saying, okay, $6 million to serve 2,000 homes. Either that's 3,000 per home if it's for their benefit, but it's going to cost more for us to produce the water. And why are we doing this? Why would every home in Clermont pay $375 to do this? And what I'm hearing is the answer is because now we're not pulling from the aquifer, we're pulling from our own wastewater.
That's correct.
This is a conservation project.
As we develop more reclaimed in our system, as we start expanding, which we just went from 5 million gallons a day to 6.5, as these more homes will start producing more, so we'll need that more storage so that it'll give us both. So we'll have the storage and it'll help with the consumptive use permit, as Mr. Howard said.
Quick question, I just understand Kings Ridge, they have the ponds that store the reclaimed water. Do all these other places have a similar thing where, if it's a golf course, they store the reclaimed water, or they store it for the golf course and for the residential area for their
No,
sprinkler
sir.
system?
Some
Or is it-
subdivisions have a different setup for that. For instance, Summer Greens just utilizes it for their golf course. It's not, we're providing it directly to the residents.
Okay. So it's gonna be a benefit to the residents then, correct? But it'll be a benefit to us that we're not gonna be using potable water for the
Correct.
irrigation. Okay.
And the 1.5 million, did that come from the state or from general fund or enterprise funds? Where'd that come from?
Well, that money right there, we've already got. We got that through
That's-
a legislation appropriation, so that's what we have right now is 1.5.
From the state? Okay.
That was last, well, I think year before last, they
2
gave
years,
us
the last 2 years.
five, and then last year, I think they gave us $1 million. on it.
And this is part of the 6 million? So we
Yes.
need 4.5
Yep.
plus what we have?
Yep.
Would we actually be able to reduce our use of the aquifer resources if we do this?
As we produce more reclaimed at the plant, it will lower how much we're withdrawing for irrigation use.
Yes.
That sounds good.
Not totally. That's a sleight of hand.
Well, that's what I'm,
Because the consumptive use is growing because of demand.
right.
Which is why they're able to produce. And you get what, 25% or 50% from wastewater
Of which part?
for reuse?
So I think, Ms. Strange, you said it before, is it five homes to make one for irrigation?
There you go. So it's 25.
Yeah.
So 20%.
Yeah.
If this actually helps with conservation and not tapping into the aquifer, I think it's great, especially if the state will align with us. I think that we need to be very clear and not speculative about what the benefits are for the environment, what the benefits are for the community, and who's really paying for it, who's benefiting from it. I'm hearing we all benefit from it because it's not taking from the aquifer. But if that's not true, then I think this could be a conversation where we're talking about a beneficial use,
I'll
special
say it
fee.
this way. We've got an augmentation well right now that we supplement. That's why we use the term irrigation water, because it's a blend. So that augmentation well is always running to fill the tanks, because if we've got 5 million gallons if you can imagine, it can be used in 5 to 6 hours. That's how much water goes out of those tanks. So if we got more storage, we got more capacity, which takes more off the aquifer. So we don't have to pull that water. We could start pulling these as we develop more. But Mr. Howard said it, but as we grow, we'll bring more into our wastewater facility to treat, which we can start getting some of these other subdivisions that are on potable and get them off that are adjacent to our infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, how do you all feel about moving away? I would be very happy if irrigation itself was, none of it was on potable.
But does it
Or
require
aquifer.
then infrastructure to switch from potable to wastewater to reclaimed water?
The infrastructure in our subdivision is one of our requirements. The purple pipe is already there.
Okay.
So if you go out in front of these subdivisions, you'll see a blue and a purple on the thing sticking out of the backflow preventers. If you see a blue and a purple, those are off of potable water. If you see one that's all purple, that's strictly reclaimed water.
You can do it with new, but you can't do it with old.
So what is the purpose then of a storage tank versus a pond to hold the reclaim?
It's the capacity side of it and the treatment side. When you have a pond, there's more treatment considered in it because it's open environments.
Okay.
It's cheaper to treat it in the tank than it is in the pond, and you get more capacity in the tank. And we still only has the capacity to do 25% of our home with reclaimed water right now.
Currently, yes, sir.
Okay. So this will be a slight increase. Of course, I know you done already told me I can never have reclaimed water, so I give up on it. But I still support this, and as much as, because I still think this need to go in, because this has been a big issue up there, especially the pressure and the use of potable water up there, which, you know, that's, we kind of like in a little bit of trouble using potable water for irrigation anyway, so we need to try to get away from that as soon as possible, so.
And so just so everybody knows, my conversations, or our conversations with Taylor were positive towards this one.
Yeah, I don't see any problem continuing to go to the state and seeing if we can get those funds from the state. I want to be clear and honest about the benefit to the aquifer. I don't want it to be a selling point. I want it to actually be true. But if it's actually true, then I mean, I don't see a problem with putting this.
That's why I brought this up, was so that they could they could let everybody know that with our consumptive use change in our permit, they're going to require some of this stuff, and we changed.
Yeah.
We've already been proactive and changed our landscape ordinance, and
Yeah.
we're changing those things. So, you know, as a council, I feel like we're doing the right things, but putting these things in place, and you're going to see other things that we have to do in the south end as well. So there's going to be a blend of how do we do this. And 20 years ago, if we would have been a little more on the ball, we could have required stormwater capture. We're really good at stormwater capture, to the point of almost too good. I know a lady who does it, and she's like, we're good enough where we can pull too much water out
Yeah.
of what drops. But being able to do that, you reduce some of your evaporation, because what's lost to evaporation, 40%?
I don't know.
I think it's 40%. So there's a huge evaporation loss. So
Well, I'm interested in hearing the other projects, but I think this sounds like a good one.
My only real concern, I would like to see this go forward. We've been allocated money 2 years in a row. Year before
Have
Oh,
last.
we? What have we
Yes.
put towards it?
We've asked for legislation.
We've asked
Oh,
legislation
yeah.
That was
to,
the 1.5 that we've
we got
received already.
$500,000 one year, and then last year they gave us another $1 million, so I'm just,
So if you know anybody has property for sale in that area, we've got 2 realtors actively looking right now.
Okay.
That would
Well,
greatly help.
I heard it was that, I know we don't need 30 acres, but I heard it was about 30 acres right across the street there.
23 acres is down the road. They want $4 million for it, but there's only 7 buildable acres they're telling us, but it's split up
Some-
between the 23 acres. There's actually only 4 acres up front,
Some of
adjacent to 2 houses.
If some of that at 30 acres is protected, I understand?
It's in the wetland.
Wetland,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
We're looking at that now.
okay. All right.
See where they get their costs from. for
Yeah,
the
keep
$4
us
million.
posted. Yeah. Keep us posted. I think it's the direction I'd like to see us going with conservation and encouraging people to take care of the yard with, dirty water. Is this gray water? Is that what we're talking about?
Not great water.
It's not gray water. Okay.
Believe it or not, by the time it's cleaned, it's drinkable.
Don't say it. I knew you were going to say
Swear
it.
it is.
Don't say
So
it. I
it
can't. I
is-
appreciate you guys and all you do.
It's gross, but yes, it is.
Mr. Van Wagner, how many more items we have on the,
There's going to be 3 departments that share with us, and I believe you have 3 items in your department. So 2 more they'd like to share with Public Works.
and we looking to send how many to the legislature, how many items?
We went over all 3 of them to him, and he was open to all 3 in Public Works.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is see how many items are completely on the list and how many we are looking to send forward to the legislature.
He said he'd like to review them with us. He wants a one sheet with them, put them together, and let's bring them to them. And this is just an opportunity in case, to hear what they have, and also for individual council members if they have a priority.
Right.
So.
Okay, great.
So I'll know after today what more you all want to add or not.
Okay. Well,
Can-
I'm just, sitting there that we're looking at this, and I was just trying to figure out how many more we gotta look at, and then we need to prioritize which one is which and how many we're gonna send forward to legislature. I think in the last couple of years, we've only been doing about four or five, so we're sending four. So.
Are we good here in the next one?
Okay, so our second project is going to be for land acquisition in the southern area of our service area. So what we're asking for here is $500,000 for property acquisition. What we would be looking for is the southern area.
This is Wellness Way.
This is down in the Wellness Way. So our southern area down in Wellness Way is currently fed from a single feed, which means there's one pipe running from the water plant down to the Wellness Way area. So what we are looking at here is our master plan calls for an additional water plant to be constructed in the city to keep up with all the growth. We're looking at the Wellness Way area to resolve the issue of having a single feed down there, so it increases system reliability and meets that demand of having that, or meets that need of having the additional water plant to support demand in the area.
Is Scott Borer here? He's upstairs, maybe. I would be curious to know how much in impact fees the folks in Wellness Way have paid and how much they're expected to pay towards whatever enterprise fund this is, to see if we have the funds already or expect to have the funds to pay for what we're talking about.
Okay. There's currently not the funding there to construct the actual project itself. So that would be one thing that we were looking at. We addressed that during the budget process as far as the funding of the project.
How much does the total project cost for a new plant?
I think it was somewhere right around in the $30 million mark.
And how much have they paid in impact fees for water and
We
sewer?
would have to break that out with development services.
Well, if you figure it's
Yeah.
a little over $6,000 between water and sewer being the more expensive one.
Yeah.
So if they've got 1,700 homes down there right now, then that's what we've collected. And you take, I don't know, 70% of that is sewer.
So that's
Same,
10 million, 10.2 million already?
What's
10.2 million would have come from that already? 1,700 homes at 6,000 a home?
Not all of it, because when they built the project, part of that went into impact fee credits to Lennar for upsizing of pipes for the main lines down there.
That long pipe system that we're talking
So all
about?
the infrastructure that was master plan, they got impact fee credits for that. So there's not that much in there.
For the
So-
upsizing of the pipes, right?
Yes.
Horrible question, but can we reuse the pipes? Can we reuse the pipes
Oh,
that,
they're currently in use right now. That's what's supplying the water and the sewer down there right now.
but if we build a new plant, can we
They will
reuse the
tie
pipes?
into
We'll
some.
We'll
tie
tie
into
into those.
So what'll happen is, we got a plant up here on the north end. The goal was to have a plant on the south end. So if something happens, which has happened twice now, that main breaks. I think Mr. Famasi's out here in the crowd, he can contest to this, that your water gets cut off because there's only a single feed. Our goal is to have a double feed, so it's got that redundancy there, so they always have water, unless it's a direct main break in their subdivision.
That's a long stretch of land. Why not just do a plant for that area? That region's gonna be 17,000 homes when it's done.
Because all of them are not in the city.
Not yet.
Well, if you look, I don't know, where's that line at? Right there.
The line runs right through the middle of the pond.
So where's that? pond?
What if
Right
they
there.
were? What if I told you they would all be in the city? What would you recommend then?
Part of it The southern end is in Sunshine's jurisdiction.
Okay.
It can't go to us, because there's some legal matters and,
Yeah, so it's our FS 180. That's where I was going through this. So the line is that the pond right there? I can't.
That is.
Yeah, right in here. So this line splits us right here.
Okay.
So that right there on the north side is all of our service area. If you go south, it's Sunshine service area. So they have the water and sewer rights down there.
How many homes are approved north of that line? County and city?
I don't know off the top of my
I mean, we can pretend that what's been happening for the last 25 years won't keep happening, or we can just anticipate that it's going to keep happening.
It's already approved.
It's already approved. Yeah. I mean, how many homes are we looking at that we're going to have to service down there?
So just from a planning standpoint, what we've done is we sit down with our planners and we go through these properties that are buildable and what their densities are. And if things change, you hear me say this before,
Yeah.
what happens is when you change the density, what messes up our planning. So this is already, our area has been planned for what our needs are for the city.
But the county has approved developments in our JPA, ISPA, all of the above?
So with Wellness Way, they've already given those rights. They've already said, here's your density, and they can increase density. So when we approved Pulte, well, I don't say when they approved Pulte, they gave them a density bonus. So that's where, when they're talking about the density bonus, but they already know what can go here. And I really want to say it's like 9,000 homes north of that area, because once you get further south, then you get into some of that wetlands that's larger. But I think that area was somewhere around 9,000 homes. I wouldn't want to be held to that, but
I mean, if we had to serve 9,000 homes, would you still have a redundancy, or would you just do a new plant?
We would have, whatever's planned in there, we've got covered right now.
Okay.
So one of the things that you guys are seeing that's coming before council next is the master plan contract. That master plan takes into effect this whole area, looks at all future development, and spells out the infrastructure needs to serve those areas.
And if this area, if we go in there and go with the planners and say, they're saying they're changing the density, but Mr. Howard said the density's pretty much locked in. But if they change something, that's where we gotta plug that number in to our master plan and say, all right, what do we got? And then we take into consideration all these vacant parcels that are throughout the city. So we look at those too when it comes to master planning and see, all right, do we have a plan here? Has a developer reached out? What's going on here? So we can share that information when we go through our consumptive use. So we're actually showing the numbers and it's real.
So what is your ask for the legislative priorities for this project?
500,000 for land acquisition to build the plant.
And how much land we gonna need for this?
I'd love to see that where the cursor is right there? So all this other vacant land around here is conserve.
Okay,
So this piece right here shows the city of Orlando. It doesn't show conserve.
okay.
And that's
I consider that a foreign invasion, just in case anybody
What's
is
that?
curious. That in Orange County, I think the tax collector should be sending them a bill so that they're paying their fair share of taxes. I'm just, in case someone's watching that
So
would
we've
like
reached
to,
out to them about this piece right here.
yeah.
Is that the piece you want?
It's adjacent, see where our infrastructure is? It's
Yeah.
right on 5 Mile. It's right adjacent right here it'd be a good spot. Not saying it has to be that spot, but it would be a good spot.
And how many acres is that?
That's 23 acres. We wouldn't be asking for all that, but that's a high, dry piece.
How many do you need? 3?
Again?
I
yeah.
think long-term planning, when you talk about if we ever get reclaimed down there and I think we need to have a spot that's ready and we can build something there to take that infrastructure so we can put it out into the system.
Stoney, are you familiar with the plans that were developed for the retention area in Conserve?
They have you're talking about the reservoir plans? I have seen those plans a few years ago.
Okay. Do you know exactly where that's at on this map?
It was somewhere over this way, off of 5 Mile. Or was it right over
Wait a
this
minute,
way?
where am I?
Over that far?
Yeah.
And would somewhere over there work for you?
Well, just the closer we get to our infrastructure, if it's near Pulte, yeah, because our infrastructure's right there.
Okay. We'll hold that conversation until the 21st.
Perfect.
But we need to have a conversation with Orange County.
Are they moving forward with, because last we heard they weren't moving forward with the reservoir project.
Last I heard, that's what I was told last week, they still not moving.
I think we have some moves that we can make. that should
That would be great.
bring them to the table. And that's what we need to do. And, you know, you can't just own property and dump your waste on our stuff and not work with us, so.
It's a foreign invasion.
Maybe they're listening.
Maybe they're listening.
Miss Wilson?
So again, Stoney, I never heard the answer. How many acres of land we need down there?
Like I said, if we could get 10 and plan
10?
for the future, we'd be in good shape. If we can only get it to 3 just to take care of the plant, we'd be in good shape. But I think long-term, the more we get down there, the better off we're gonna be for planning.
The only thing that I'm going to preface this, that I know those plans were made for that other. If we're going to buy a chunk of land, I think we need to buy the right chunk of land.
Yes.
Have that water there and have that storage. I'm not going to stop until we get reclaimed stormwater storage on site in Wellness Way. We cannot do that. It hurts everybody. And yes, it's more expensive, but the developers can pay for it. And, we'll need to supply some areas, but forward thinking before we get too far away and let this get away from us,
Yeah.
we have to have that in as far as I'm concerned, so.
Well, the basic math at 9,000 homes with 1,700 already built, even if we keep our impact fees the same, is 43.8 million. So if we think we're going to need 30 million, I mean, we're anticipating that growth and preparing for it. So
A lot
I
of
just-
that went to the wastewater treatment already.
And the bond is against that.
Well, it's the impact fee credits, so you've got
Correct.
part of that. If you take every home in there, it's considered, part of that went to the impact fee credits. You remember what it was offhand? I know the total number was 19 million.
I was gonna say, I thought it was
for the
20 million.
infrastructure, and the city paid for part of that for the upsizing of it, but it was nowhere near that.
Mr. Borer, I'm going to want you're not going to have all this today, but I'm really interested in what's happening with the impact fees and Wellness Way and supporting these gentlemen and what they're trying to do and supporting the community's needs and supporting the Lake Wales Ridge. And I mean, there's a lot going on here. I think we're responsible for it. I'm wondering if relative to this, we might consider asking the state for funds to make sure the proper studies are being done in this region to address these are unique issues, and this is a very important part of the state ecologically. And I mean, what questions, I have a bunch of questions, but maybe it's because I'm a rookie, but what kind of questions might we need answered that we could ask the state to help us answer so that you have what you need and we have what we need to make an informed decision on the issues that the folks down in Wellness Way need?
So last week, we just signed our grant that we got from DEP for $500,000. It's for an alternate water study, if we're talking about water.
Okay.
So once we get I believe it's an RFQ for our engineering firms, which I think they've turned them in on. So once that's done, we're gonna grab the firms and we've reached out to St. John's, that people have expertise into this. So those are the groups we're gonna be looking at to do this study. So between us, because Lake County's a partner on this one also, so we're gonna look at this entire region of what can be done. Like Mr. Howard said, is it stormwater capture? Is that part of it? Is it upper withdrawals? Is it lower withdrawals? Is it surface water withdrawals? We're
Right.
looking at everything.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's what we'll be looking at when we start the study.
So we know we need a plant of some kind. Is $500,000 a big enough ask? I mean, for 10 acres?
I think as a starting point, dealing with my experience with this, the more you ask for, you easily get kicked out.
Okay.
I understand what you're doing, because, I mean, $500,000 would maybe buy 1 acre of land. Okay. That's what-
Yeah, I'm worried that we might not be asking for enough,
Well,
but I like
Depends
that.
on who we get the land from, I guess.
Well, and then maybe we may not, I wish, Chris isn't here from Gray Robinson, right? I thought he was going to be here. I think that this is a very important issue. It's appropriate for the state to take interest in this because the decisions we make are going to affect everything that's happening with the aquifer north of this region. This is a very important ecological part of the state. So I'm all for these. I think going for it makes sense. We do have a little bit of time between now and the session, but
I think
does anybody
more
think this is a
partners-
bad ask?
The more partners we get in this, whether, it's Lake County right
Yeah.
now, we get Groveland, Mineola, Mascot. It's not just our issue, it's the whole South region's issue.
Well, and everything north, everything that runs north. I mean, this is a critical part of
Absolutely.
the state.
We're in the middle of the
so,
state.
Yeah. Does anybody else see this as an issue for us putting this on the
So-
list?
And this came up with Taylor. He's also going to help us look into other funding mechanisms, whether it be DP and some others. So some of this stuff, he said, look, we'll figure out where the ask is, and then figure out if you need to go in other directions, whether it be federal, state,
Yeah.
other areas. So he was very helpful with that. And so that's kind of the reason that I asked for this meeting, was so that we could get this all on paper, get the one sheets, and then have time to work, and then we can make the final decision on the 21st. Is that the date for that one?
20th or 21st?
That's the workshop. We have until the end of the month.
Right, yeah. So then I believe Rick's going to meet with him on the 29th.
29th.
And finalize everything. But by that time, Chris will have everybody will have had a chance to have eyes and ears and say, yes, we can and can't, and give us advice.
Okay.
And we've had help from the audience. Mr. Fumasi out there gave us an application today through St. John's. He's talked to them. There's other routes that we're looking at too. So I thank him out there for helping us too.
And make sure you're including Mr. Borer in these studies, because, where's the money coming from? I want the folks down a Wellness Way who are paying to get that for which they've paid. And that's true for every community and every new home, is make sure we're not taking from one location to put into another, unless it's just. Any other questions on that subject for anybody? No. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next one, I'm gonna let Mr. Mayor want to talk about this. This was, the council had brought it up a couple times about Highway 50 and how we get pedestrians across there, so I'm gonna let him go into detail what we're looking at.
Thanks, Tony. Good afternoon. This final initiative from the Public Services Department is requesting funding for an alternate pedestrian crossing study. 4 intersections that are reasonably close to the downtown, East Avenue, Lake Street, 5th and 8th. What we would like to do is engage a consultant to study the opportunity to provide some sort of a safe alternate crossing. What would that look like? I would leave that to the consultant to decide. I've heard things discussed like a tunnel or a bridge, or there may be some sort of surface crossing enhancements that would make people feel safer crossing State Route 50. Traffic volume on State Route 50 is only projected to grow and grow over the years, so the boundary between our north and south part of the city is only going to be more and more challenging for people to get through. Typically, the study would include things like traffic counts, pedestrian counts, speed studies, line of sight studies, looking at the physical environment of the intersections, and just really determining what could be done, and more critically, which one of the 4 potential intersections would be the best opportunity for us to explore. After that, outcomes, I would anticipate, we'd get a recommendation from a consultant as what, ranking 1 through 4, what would be the best. Get some concept plans as to what things could look like, and then some estimated costs going forward. Creating the study in the first place, doing the analytics to this, is really critical to be able to take the next step. Because if we have this study and it's supported, then we can turn around and look for other grant opportunities using this as the foundation document to move that forward. It'll give us more credibility, really. So, any questions about that? There's just a few slides of the intersections.
And the thing with this is that the state put this road down the middle of our master plan design city. And so, I don't feel a bit bad asking them to help fix the mess that they've created.
I
So
completely support your statement.
Yeah, I would like to see another, and I know it's not near the downtown, but I've always had a lot more concern about pedestrian crossing on 50 at Blossom and 50. Because when I go down through town, down 50, I very seldom see any pedestrian out there trying to cross at Lake and then the other one. But let me tell you, it's a heavy pedestrian crossing at Blossom, and we've had some deaths over there crossing at Blossom, so that's always been more of a concern for me, getting people across there.
We can easily add Bloxham to the list.
Yeah, if we can add
Nothing
that one
magical
to it,
about
because, you know, and I complain a lot of times, and I want to talk to Chief about maybe starting ticketing people for jaywalking, because they won't cross at the intersection up there. They go down to Burger King or McDonald's and try to cross off the street and get, I can't remember how many people we've had killed over there in that area, trying to cross, so I would like to see that added. to it.
Mid-block crossings outside of a controlled intersection are one of the highest pedestrian fatality rates around.
And that's one of the, when I go down 50, that's probably one of the highest pedestrian crossings, and people I see trying to cross at Blossom at 50. And I don't think I ever go through there when I don't see somebody sitting on that corner trying to cross and everything.
Bloxham and 50 is a unique one. So we dealt with this when I was on school board, and because of the way it's designed and that it's actually 4 lanes on the one side, it really triggers some things within the school district as far as kids being bused. But at one time, the city was very helpful and had a crossing guard there. But as we looked at it, we just realized that nobody should be crossing there, just because of the dangers inherently within there. So I get looking at that. The problem that we looked at when we, as the board at the school district, looked at it, is there's literally zero land to acquire to do it. I mean, it's just, the boundaries are so tight up there. I mean, I'm happy to look at it, but it's not something I'm hopeful on. It's the only reason that I didn't bring it up, because like I said, I personally dealt with that. I mean, as a child, I lived on Bloxham, so I'm very familiar with it. I used to watch that light turn red every night at 8 o'clock. It'd start flat. They used to roll the lights up in Clermont at 8 o'clock, so the light would start flashing red. I lived where Walgreens was as a child. But it's interesting to watch, so hopefully they can get that done, but I'm not super hopeful on that one.
But in addition, I think we already are trying to work on the improvement of Blossom, right? That's under the block grant we're trying to do for that right now, which is also needed in that area.
I
So-
think one of the things we can do on Bloxham, Mr. Mayor, is we met with the DOT, was it last week? We can reach out to the DOT and let them know the concerns, because they're looking at a resurfacing project.
Right.
So we can let them know now the concerns of the city at Bloxham with the, what's going on there and what enhancements they can do. We'll do that now. And we can include it with this too, but we'll reach out to them now and let them know the concerns with pedestrians right there.
So they are looking at resurfacing along Blossom there to get rid of that road rage situation we got there.
I don't think it's going to change. Hopefully they'll give some pre-warnings for that though before it happens so fast.
Well,
But it's going to stay the same unless the city says get rid of it.
Ultimately,
Well,
they need to
I
get
mean,
rid of that right-hand turn into Winn-Dixie and force everybody to come in off of Bloxham, using that light as that, because that is the dangerous part, and that's where people are
Exactly.
speeding
Yeah.
past, and that's where somebody's going to get hit and has been hit. So I wouldn't have an issue supporting that. I mean, I'm sure Winn-Dixie and that plaza will howl, but the rest of the infrastructure to bring them in the backside is already there. So, I mean, I don't know if that's what you need from us, but I would certainly support it. I think, I hate the way that's designed.
I think we'll have that conversation now that we've spoken to you, and we can start that with the DOT and see what that would look like, because they're willing to partner with us and give us some conceptuals from what I heard. And then we'll go that route and see what it looks like.
Well, I had that conversation with the state a year and a half or so ago, over a year, almost 2 years ago, when myself and Commissioner Parks, we talked about doing that, and I guess that's the study they supposed to be looking at and trying to get back with the city manager on. Not only that, but whole Highway 50 all the way through, from
say it?
Highway 27 all the way through Clermont to the west.
Got good, bad news though.
Bad news.
The bad news is we both heard Mr. Carmody say when it comes to road projects, there won't be any funding for it, just so.
I got one for you. So I don't know if this is a Mr. Waugh getting involved, if this is our new grant writer getting involved, but there's some sort of advocacy that's needed here. And I support both gentlemen in their statements. If you look at the original plat of the town of Clermont, the 1,500 acres of the best orange and vegetable lands in Florida. It goes all the way to 27, US 27, and Bloxham Avenue on Highlands Avenue was supposed to be a rural country road that people could walk across. And I mirror Mr. Howard's comments that the state decided in its infinite wisdom to cut a highway through the middle of these 15,000 beautiful groves. And it was the state's choice to do that, and it has the power to do that. But I think it's unjust how it left our community, which had already been partially constructed, without ability for the folks on the edge of town to get to downtown, without ability for folks in the country part and the rural part to get to their neighbors, to get to church, to get to school. And so I think it's not a basic transportation conversation. It's a fixing what the state chose to do that has had long-term consequences to the citizens of this town. And I would like that to be the messaging. It's not that we're coming asking for a favor. It's that we're coming saying, we want you to fix what you broke. And we're not angry. We need additional funding in a way that's not normal roads and streets, because you put a highway through the middle of our town, and we need safe ways for pedestrians, including children, to cross the street to get to school. And so whatever advocacy might be needed, I support that. I think it's really important. And I think Bloxham's a great location. I think something in the historic downtown area, as you've already identified, is a great location. And also, I don't know that we've discussed it on the council level, but our Parks and Rec turned in, and this is why we need the grant writer sooner rather than later. Our Parks and Rec turned in a grant application to the state of Florida Department of Commerce to help with study. It's just like we're talking about for crossing Hancock. And I'm not sure if that included crossing 27 at Wellness Way, because here we have residents who live across the street from Lake Louisa State Park. Wouldn't it be lovely if they could ride their bikes to go to a beautiful park land? And that's federal and state, US Highway 27, right? And then Hancock across Highway 50. So I think we can reach out, talking to Taylor, if you're doing that, which is great. The Department of Commerce has grants. There's a lot of different opportunities. And when the state and the federal government decided to split our city into quarters, there were consequences to that. And again, not angry about it. It's just let's make it right for the citizens who live here, whatever that means. And so I don't want you to look at it like we're asking for funding for our streets and our roads. We're asking for funding for a state road and a US highway. And that it's appropriate to approach it like that, I think.
I think when we do the application, we'll let the council review it before we send it off, if this is one of the ones y'all choose. And then we can gear it towards that when we fill the application out.
His suggestion was that this also ties into trails and that type of thing. So depending on how your string of pearls works, some of the ones downtown would tie into that, bring people into downtown. So it would actually tie us to, and he specifically mentioned the Cross Florida Bike Trail. So by having the ABA and having that larger global look at it, we can tie those pieces together. But that was a suggestion from him that we needed to do, was to tie that, because exactly what Stoney said, they're not going to approve road projects. But if this is
This is not just a road project.
it's not a road project,
No.
it is how do we get people from point A to point B and tie in our parks and rec side of it. And so that was his suggestion. So,
Yeah.
Perfect.
just so you guys know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You want me to go to the next one?
Brian.
I think we're at the end. You got it?
Mr. Mayor, this is a workshop, I know, but do we want to open it up to the public to talk about these public works projects? Do we want to do that at the end? Do we not want to do that? What do we want to do?
We can open up to the public. That's public work,
Just
right?
before Brian gets
Did
up.
I miss one?
maybe?
I thought he told me he had 4 projects.
No, they had three,
Three
and then
three.
there's
Okay.
2 other
Okay.
departments that have a combined total of 3. I mean,
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. Brian Foreman, Parks and Recreation Director. So we've submitted in the past for Meet in the Middle, and I included Let me go to the next one. This is what our request was for this fiscal year. I don't want to get into the exact, that is the exact wording. I copied and pasted it onto here. So the question for council is, do we want to, is this how we want to request funding for appropriations this year, or do we want to take a different tact? And I'm not going to ask council to word it for us since this.
I think this is great.
Okay.
I'm comfortable, I mean, I'm comfortable with it. Like I said, we've got to finish this at some point. We just have to land on the right design, and we're just not there yet.
Okay.
You know, I'm comfortable. We can ask again. And when I was up there last year, I don't think we asked last year. Year before last, when we asked for this, wasn't it?
We did. This was submitted.
I
for the
was
last 2
really
years.
shocked. The feedback I got when I visited different offices and the senators and all that up there, I felt pretty comfortable. This would be the one project they would have funded for us. And then when the budget came, I think it got nixed out of the budget. So, but this was a lot of support for this project up there 2 years ago. I know because a lot of the senators we spoke with up there, they actually knew about our trail. And they actually been down here using the trail and thought it was a great project, so.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, this is easy.
Awesome. Thank you. You wanna come? Kevin, you want to come? You and Rick?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
With the first slide. So we have two proposals for this legislative. The first one is the public safety training facility, and we're requesting $1 million for site work and planning. Right now, and if you guys are going tomorrow,
I'm going to interrupt you. The county got $1 million for site work and planning
correct?
for the public safety training facility this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have that? Or are we
do not
spending
have
$2
that.
million?
I'm sorry.
County.
Are we
They built their
spending-
own.
That was the county.
They
Where are
their
they
own-
building
they're-
it?
They built their own. Theirs is down North 27.
At the-
So they built the South Lake Public Safety Training Facility in the most northern part of South Lake.
It's
It's at Christopher C. Ford Park,
yeah. It's
at the entrance at just past 19, or
okay. Thank you.
just past 19, Christopher C. Ford Park entrance.
But they just got the funding.
They had an existing building. I don't know that they've built it. They had 27 acres or something right there. It used to be the Lake County Welcome Center,
Yeah.
the little blue kind of odd-shaped building. They had that, and my understanding is that's where it's going.
Yes, it's. I mean, it's not. They do have the building, but so what we're looking to do, because we have a few acres now on 12th Street that we've been, we've had the Connex boxes
Yep.
delivered and everything. But what we're looking to do is expand that because you have about 13 to 14 acres on that property. And currently, we have a 35-minute to an hour drive to any type of training facility, whether that's Leesburg, Tavares, Orlando, which is about to go away, Valencia. And that holds true for Groveland. It holds true for Mascot, or I'm talking FD and PD, so public safety in general. Groveland, but we don't, even Lake County south of us, there's nothing close to us, but the ability to have a multi-jurisdictional training facility within our city limits, we do have, the possibility to expand what we're already working on. But just for the site work and the planning alone, is our request is for $1 million from those legislative to get that project moving.
But how is this different than what the county's doing in North Groveland? Like, why wouldn't we just use that and work with them? Are they not going to let us use it?
I mean, they would let us use, I don't know where they are at with their training facility.
We weren't invited, just so you know.
Is
I
this project,
don't, yeah, I mean, we have our training facility now, which will work for us. We do have, I think, we have $200,000 this fiscal year to make improvements. So we're looking at about 23 Connex boxes to build 2 different Connex box structures, kind of to what Chief Castler had as far as that display that he had the one time.
So why don't we just ask for $1 million to expand the 12th Street property that we have rather than site work and planning? I mean, you're looking at a multi-million dollar project, and I don't know that we have that anticipated unless I'm on the wrong page.
So if he wants to finish, then because we had specific conversations about this one and the difficulties of getting this through.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I'll
worried that
explain
we go to the state with real requests and say, okay, I know you gave $1 million to the South Lake Public Safety Training Facility last year, but it's not good enough. We want our own. And I just worry about how that will be received.
He explained us how to proceed with this, and I'll do that afterwards, so.
Okay.
But, it's just future impacts and benefits, cost avoidance for our travel time. Like I said, it's 35 minutes to an hour. At the same time, we're out of service for 8 hours at a time training, so you're looking at possibly 10 hours that we have frontline units in service or out of service that are not servicing the city. So having it in our backyard, being able to do that, being able to respond from training within the city, is a huge benefit. But, also building those partnerships with the departments that are around us, Groveland, even Mineola, even Winter Garden, because we're starting to butt up to them too down there. So being able to work with them and, have that ability even for PD. Right now we're building the Connex boxes, but I know there's the thought of the firing range as far as for PD and,
Well, yeah.
Stuff like that. So we do have the land there. It's just most of that area needs to be demucked.
I guess that was gonna be one of my questions, especially I'm looking at Chief behind there. Are we still looking at this for police and fire training
Yes,
down
sir.
there?
Public safety in general. So not just,
Okay.
PD and FD. So,
Police and combined, okay.
but, and then, building off classes where we could have our own classes and we could maybe even have a good consortium fee and make money off of this training facility. Oops, that was it. I had my 2 slides. Sorry.
So on the public safety training facility, Taylor was very clear that the likelihood of this passing on its own would see significant resistance, that you would want to see Sheriff Grinnell backing this as a public safety with the police. So that would be a key for him. That was a key feature, was that Sheriff Grinnell would back this, and that having the ability for police to train as well is trying to get things for fire passed up there. He said is a little more difficult, and he would not necessarily want to carry that one through on its own. So I don't know if
Yeah.
So what's the ask, what we asking on this? I know when we went up before, the first time we introduced this up there, I think it was 8 million we asked, right?
The total project cost, but that was a building, that was a firing range,
Right.
that was 3 classrooms, that was an all-inclusive training facility.
That
I
was
think
a
what we're trying to
dream.
do is take smaller bites of the apple.
Right, right.
So the last time that we put in for this, I had 13 letters of support from different
Right.
municipalities, including Lake County Sheriff's Office. So if it's just getting a letter of support, that's as easy as refreshing an email, so.
Well, but gentlemen, the elephant in the room for me is that Lake County just got $1 million from the state for the South Lake Public Safety Training Facility. And what it says to me is we in the Beehive are not playing nicely with one another, or in the sandbox are not playing nicely with one another. And I think that anybody on the outside would see it, anyone looking in would see it that way. And so I struggle with that. Expanding the public safety training, expanding what you've got going in fire on 12th Street, you've got my support on that. I hear $1 million just for drawings and site work, and I'm hearing a $10 million thing. We have not decided that that's the direction that we're going. I think that a regional approach makes sense. I think the county, if it's going to be requesting this money from the state, should be building in collaboration with all the local jurisdictions and fellow council members. What I'm hearing is we might need to be a little more active with our elected officials at the county, because our staff is evidently struggling in that conversation. And I think that's our role as elected officials, to have policy conversations with the policymakers. So I'm going to support you in this. What I do want to be clear about is what you really need. that's what is not clear to me, because what we don't need necessarily is $1 million for drawings. What we need is a result. And so what results is it? We're looking for a place to train for firearms. Obviously, that's important. We have a tower that we've approved and is under construction and is budgeted for, and I commend you, $200,000. It's amazing. And now we're $1 million for drawings. We're kind of going back to that kind of big government model, and I'm going to have a knee-jerk reaction to that. So bear with me. And I think we're talking about a burn house, right? Like, these are the three. We have the tower, we need a range, and we need a burn house.
Correct, which we could do with Connex boxes as well, as far as the burn house is concerned.
Yeah, but now there's smoke in Clermont, so we also need to have
right.
discussions with the public on that and get some temperature on that. And I think that's where, if the county has a public training facility, maybe they do the burn house in the middle of the fields, which is where their current facility is at an industrial complex, rather than us doing it right next to 500 homes next to historic downtown, right? So if we have different areas that are all 15 minutes away, we have the Performing Arts Center for classes. I think the classes you do are great, but we already have a facility where we can do that. And I did talk to Chief, so just kind of updating everybody. There is a tactical training facility in Groveland that does elite training. They have a range. And for the amount of money that we're talking about for a public safety facility, we could literally invest that money over the next 10 years into actual training, rather than trying to start a company that, quite frankly, competes with a local business that exists, albeit not in Clermont, but it's pretty advanced and it's been going for a long time.
So I had a lot of the same questions you did when this all started. There is a building down there that's going to need asbestos mitigation. It's going to be very expensive to have that removed. There are other issues on the site, things we were having conversations about whether we could help the county right now with their immediate ambulance response. There's already showers in a bunk room. Could be a bunk room.
It looks like Chandra's leaving. Do you have any priorities you want us to talk about in your absence? Anything burning on your mind?
I support this one because we talked last year about it, so I'm on board with that. But with what you were saying, being careful how we phrase it.
Right.
That's my thing. It's just using wisdom on how we phrase.
Yeah.
Asking for these things and all that. But that should be a priority, as well as with the wastewater that we were talking about.
Okay. Nothing new?
Nothing new.
Okay.
Just, so Station 5 will be what we talk about next after you leave.
Station 5, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Can
John
y'all
Thomas
get that to me, email me on that, because I'm going to.
No,
So,
thank you. I wanted to get you a chance to talk before you left.
so on this, I had a lot of the same you too. I had a lot of the same concerns, and this is how this price has come down dramatically, because at the time, I forget what Rick told us it was, but just for the burn house was expensive enough to where I was like, no, I'm not voting for this. And that's how we came back to the 200,000 for that. And a lot of this needs to be redone anyway. It's just old. So some of what you're seeing on site plan is just redoing that. I don't expect us to get to the $8 million. I mean, I would lose my mind on that, as you would. So I think we're on the same process of what do we need, but there are issues already on the site plan that I don't see spending $1 million on it. I don't think we're just doing $1 million in plans. There's mitigation already there that needs to be done. And there's buildings there that we need to figure out whether they can be used or not used. Y'all were looking at a building yesterday, whether it could be used. How'd that turn out?
I'm going to talk to Stoney afterwards. He told me he would call me. But as far as like if we're looking to use it for that purpose, then
Yeah.
it could be used for that purpose.
So it would allow us to have possibly ambulance there. So we know that the ambulance failed the other day. So this
Yeah.
was this was part of what went into this was how can we use that property, and what are the assets that are on the property in order to get there. So I'm going to support it, but I'm going to tell you now that I do have the same concerns that Allison does, that I'm not going to support a $6, $8, $10 million project. It's just not going to be there.
And how do we feel about burning on this property?
I would, I think it would be a good idea, or whether you guys show up one time or go and see like an actual Connex box burn. because it's not what you think it is. It doesn't produce the amount of smoke that you think gets produced. It's not like a house fire. It's very minimal smoke. And that's what we're looking to do. We're not looking to build large fires. They're typically very small. They're very contained. They're put out quickly. And if you drove by the street, you probably wouldn't even know it was happening.
And some of this is to show the drafts inside of what happens when you're in a
Correct, yeah.
room.
Are these the towers, the concrete block towers?
No, these are like the steel Connex boxes that you can stack and you can build them up, kind of basically what that is there. And usually you have one little room in there that you'll set the fire, and that's what it's made for, because they have to reinforce it. But it's not a lot of smoke. You don't see a lot. So it's not what you think about when you see these big plumes of smoke coming from a house fire.
You guys should invite us all out for once. I have a friend who did this they did a boat one. And as I was talking to him, the heat and of what you feel and what you see when you're in there, when they let the fire go, he said it's very different. So what they're doing is different. I didn't understand it until they explained it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. So that you're in a room and that fire takes off different than what we see when we're outside with a fire.
Yeah.
It reacts different inside, and they're learning that.
Because it's contained within that steel structure, and so you don't get a lot of smoke that gets out.
And so then, just for my own, in case I'm asked about this, so everything we've talked about now related to conservation, the aquifer, the state road, the U.S. highway, this is benefiting other parts of the state. What is the rationale for the city of Clermont asking citizens in Brevard and Pinellas and Hillsborough and Duval to pay for a public training facility here in Clermont?
I think the benefit is just the South Lake region. I know they have the one going up there, but it's that region that's Groveland, Mineola. It's us being able to, and I know it's not statewide, but it's within our area wide, of being able to train with our partners that if there's a structure fire, they're going to be there. We don't train with them much because that's a lot of coordination to get everybody to Leesburg or Orlando or wherever that's going to be. So,
Right.
As far as the South Lake area and even Orange County is being able to have that training with each other and being able to go there. And you guys, the residents know that once we get there, that they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They've done it together before, and this is not the first time they've showed up and tried to put our house fire out or, save us from somewhere. But the same with PD as well. And I think that's with this ask, it is public safety. It's not just fire, and I think what Councilman Howard said is alone FD, it's going to be pretty tough, to get anything across the board.
I think, again, being realistic, the folks in Orlando aren't going to want to drive here any more than we want to drive to Orlando.
Correct, yeah.
I'd like to see, personally, before this ever comes for a vote for me, I would like to see the commitment from our neighboring cities and what might they be willing to contribute to this and how that works. And if there's some sort of ingenuity, if there's something that could benefit the state, the region, not just South Lake County, but the central Florida region, if we're doing something that's new or novel, something that is research oriented, something that this isn't free money. It's money that's generated from the entire state, and we're asking for it. And I think in every ask we make, we have an obligation to be able to look our friends in the eye on the other side of the state and say, yeah, I took your money because I'm doing something that gives value to you or that somehow makes your life better. And I think we need to be prepared for that. I think we need to be prepared for that in every conversation that we have with the state. I fully support the training. That's not the issue. I hope you know that. I worry about the burning. We're going to have to manage the public and me on that. And then on the shooting, before we go building a giant building, I would rather support small business if we can. That's already in business. So those are kind of my concerns. I'm not going to say don't ask for this, but I do have to say if it comes to where we're narrowing it down, I think the other asks are stronger asks at the state level right now. And we need to deal with the conversation with what's going on with the county and how they have the funds and what are they doing and how can we work together on that.
Okay.
What's your next one?
Station 5.
I love it.
We're on this way.
I'm going to have the same question though for the state. What?
I would say from a state level, this is gonna be a station that serves the Wellness Way area, a corridor to Disney. I mean, everybody passes through. This is, you know,
That's better.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing, you know, there's not a lot down there, and, you know, that is a road that many residents, not just as residents of Clermont, use to get to that area.
And on that, when you go into that part of when we're worried about what the rest of the state is worried about, I can promise you that there is no other commissioner in the entire state of Florida who cares what the rest of the counties think.
Hello.
Lead by
Hold on.
example, Mr. Howard.
Hold on, and it is our 7% sales tax, well, 6%,
Okay.
that is going up there, and we're just asking for our money back. So there was a previous representative who refused to file local bills, and it drove me bananas because that meant that all 6% that we sent to Tallahassee, we didn't get a dime back because he was unwilling to write those bills.
You're going to help me on this one, Mr.
And-
Boyer, right?
and
Give me
Mr.
talking
Howard,
points.
Mr. Howard, I agree with you. I'm not too concerned about what Brevard County or anybody else has to say about what the state fund here. Because every year when I see millions of dollars given to a boardwalk over in Volusia County, how do they benefit me here? I don't know. But I know we in Lake County pay a big portion to the same, into that part of money into the state, and we just asking for our share back. That's all. So I don't care
I'm comfortable
how
with
they
that.
look at it or anything else. I want to just get a part of that money back that we're paying in. In my 4 or 5 years here, we've been getting very little back, but I know we paying a lot more. Like last year, I think we only got $500,000, $1 million or so out of the big pot, and I know we paid in a lot more than that. So, in the years I've been here, so I'm not concerned with what people in Brevard County has to say. Okay, and I know they've been other counties have been getting fire departments and police stations and everything else partly funded through the state as well. Okay, it's not benefiting us in Melbourne, they get a police station, but they got funding from the state, okay? So,
On that,
I'm in support of, I do know we need to do something with the fire station number 5, we need to.
I mean, this is priority if I'm gonna rank my
Right,
priorities.
that's
This is
top
a-
priority,
this
that would
is
be
a
top priority
We
for me.
currently, depending on where you're gonna go in Wellness Way, if you're gonna go all the way down to McKinney off of Wellness Way, we have a 10 to 15, maybe even longer minute response to get to those areas. Currently, we were awarded the SAFER grant for 15 firefighters, which I know will be on the
Right.
next council
Great
agenda
job.
as new business. We also have the land donated for Station 5, which is if you make a left on Wellness Way or right on Schofield, it's right on the right across
Right.
from that neighborhood right there. And that cuts our time even down to McKinney down to about 5 to 6 minutes from that station. So it's a very large area. I mean,
Yeah.
you're 6 minutes away from that location to get all the way down to McKinney. But we obviously, we have a need, for Station 5, and we are building and getting ready to, make that happen. We also have the need as for PD to, we could add a substation to that, to that station, and then you have a public safety complex or a public safety station, not just FD and PD. So, and very rough estimate based off of Station 2, and looking at Station 2, we're estimating about $6 million for that station build. So the ask would be half, $3 million, for that station.
what does that include? Any equipment or just the building?
That would include the building and the site work. It wouldn't include the fire truck,
No apparatus and
no
all.
apparatus.
But here's, I think
Fire
one of the
trucks would be
dilemmas we
$2
have with
million.
fire station number 5 is the fact, as you just mentioned, is the fact that we haven't even broke ground and did anything there, but yet and still our SAFER grant gonna kick in March, is it April?
We have Chief Azel's working with Lennar right now.
Yeah.
On basically a sub-site that we would be able to, and there's ways to get buildings put on, like stations, they actually make
Right.
them where you can put them in a Connex box, and when you're not using them, or like a portable building, which you could have up within like 3 to 6 months.
Sounds like we need to be sponsored by Connex.
Yeah, right. Or build a Connex station, maybe. I don't know if they have
Well.
those. But same thing with the fire truck. We do have a reserve fleet, so there are options of using our newest reserve unit while we have the other ones that are come in, or there are, you can buy some off the line sometimes from some of the manufacturers. There's KME is a manufacturer of fire trucks who can build a very basic fire truck and get it to you in about 6 months. So we do have options of getting, within a short amount of time, a station up while this station would be under construction, having the people, having the equipment and everything to run that area.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's one of my main concerns is getting something operating when the SAFER grant
Right.
goes kick in March, and we have a 3 years, of course, the first 2 years they fund 75%, and then in the third year it's 35%. So having a station for them to work out.
We're working on the land right now for that. We do have the capability to get that up and running by the time those people are onboarded and go through orientation
Yeah.
and everything, so.
Mr. Van Wagner, what's the status of the fire station over by Verde Ridge?
We are in negotiation with the church right now, and we've talked to them, so there's a willingness on their part to do that. So we're waiting on the pastor to get with his trustees and let us know if that's something the trustees are willing to do. But the pastor said he would be willing to work with us, so we're optimistic. Chief Azel's been meeting with him that perhaps I can bring something to you guys in the very near future as an option for land there.
Knowing the SAFER grant is coming up, I think the mayor makes a good point about funding that. And we have Wellness Way, and we also have the Verde Ridge region. I'd like to see we move slower than I'd like. So I'd like to see some solutions coming over, across to us in October, November, because that gives us December, January, February, March before that SAFER grant. Yeah.
That's what we're working on right now. But like I said, we have research. We know how we can get a temporary station building and how soon we can get it. Pretty much the price cost on that, and whether it's a truck, whether we're using our newest reserve, because engine 101 is only a few years old, so we do have a newer reserve that we could go into today if we needed to, or getting a truck that we could possibly have here within 6 months, within that time frame of when that station would open.
Yeah, I'd be looking at that, please. Mr. Fumasi I don't know if I should say this, but as you all know, I don't have a filter. So Mr. Fumasi had brought up the idea of having some sort of transportation station at Wellness Way, specifically related to individuals who might work at Disney being able to have kind of public transportation to Disney. And I think he had made some sort of progress in conversation with Disney officials. So has he talked to you about this? Okay. Is it dead in the water, or is it still being worked on?
It's still a discussion. He's been talking with them.
So I'm thinking, in this conversation about Wellness Way and fire and police, we start dealing with transportation infrastructure. It might be a location where we could do all three things, which also might make it more appealing at the state level to fund something. Obviously, tourism, #1 industry in Florida. Disney's the #1 tourism driver in Florida. There's a lot of sales tax paid out of that, which may not come from Clermont. But there might be some sort of design. I just don't want to operate in silos, and make sure that we're thinking collaboratively on that, because that might make the ask better and more likely for success if we're combining it with, I like your connection to Disney. See, that was good. You got me thinking that way. So can you get with Mr. Fumasi between now and when we finalize this and talk to them and see? I don't know enough about it, but I think there's an opportunity there.
Okay.
So on this one, Taylor was not super excited about it.
Okay.
Local, yeah.
He was excited that we had the SAFER grant. I don't want to say excited. He said the SAFER grant was a positive. Finding some way that we had some federal or some other funding would be a positive. They said don't come and ask for more than 50%, so because you need 50% funded, so there's some conversation in there that needs to be had. I don't know if Rick wants to add anything with that. He was in there, but this was not his favorite by far. I can tell you that.
Well, one of the things I'm thinking is with the SAFER grant, I think that's going to be a harder ask, because we've already been authorized the SAFER grant and everything. So and then turn around and ask the state. I think they'll take a hard look at that and see what we're getting already with the SAFER grant. So, but this is one of my top priorities. We need to get going on this project. Okay.
And how much
I would say is our top priority.
Yeah.
How much do we have in the impact fee? I know we talked about it. I'm sorry. I'm just wondering if we even need to ask for it from the state. But I do like the Disney angle. Not that we're providing that service, but people from Disney are going to be coming here, whether they're living here, working here, driving through here. If there was some sort of transportation station, that would be additional burden on us as a city. So I want to anticipate that. And I think there's something there that makes it more attractive, because I'm sure, well, I don't know. Did you talk to Taylor about that?
So
I don't know what you know.
if you want to push that, that would probably be something that you tie into the water, or you tie into the piece of property that you purchase. And it really just comes down to the piece of property that you purchased. The fire station was donated to us. That's not going to be a size that we do something like that on. So when we look for this other property, if that's a direction that you want to go, if you think that's the highest and best use of that piece of property, then we would purchase that.
And we do have, I do know, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, about it was authorized for increased density down there, and one of the agreement with that increased density, a couple of years ago, was the money was to be used towards the fire station impact fees, which should be about 3.5 million, I think it is. That was authorized. I think one of them gave us 2-point-something million, and another one 1.2 million or so. So it should have been about a total of the increase in density. So you do have that available from impact fees. That's what was generated out of the increased density that the two subdivisions asked for.
So keep working on it.
Yes.
We want to get it done.
Right.
And the question is this one of our asks at the state? That's all. Don't interpret it any other way, because we want to get it done, so.
Well, we need to get moving, and that's for sure. But I don't know asking the state for anything there with all that. Like I say, with the land been donated to us, we do have some funds available. I'm assuming they still there, okay,
Yeah.
from the impact fee, and with everything else, the safer grant there, I think that may be a tall ask to ask the state to come back and give us a.
Just interpret that as us asking the state, not us supporting you.
Yeah.
So bring it back. Work with Mr. Fumasi on
They're
that.
going to do a one sheet on it.
Yeah.
And that way Taylor can look at it and say, yeah, I think I can get it through. I can't get it through.
Yeah.
He can make some calls to those committees and say, hey, where are you guys at with this? And of course, nothing's ever finalized until governor signs off on it.
Till the
so.
governor signs it.
Well, and as we're workshopping this, and I'll come back to you in just a second. I heard you say 6 minutes already. If we need to be looking at another location for 3, 4, 5 years from now to keep us under that 6-minute mark, please keep us in the loop on that so that we're anticipating that and working with developers on conversations about what land we might need to have as part of their development.
Might depend on if
Okay.
and what we annex and where that's at
Yeah.
down there, because right now from that station, that's about as far east as you can go. Right at that cutoff where the road ends is that McKinney area, which is ours.
Right.
To the north. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think we plan on going any further east. But if we're going southeast more, there might be some.
All right. You have it? What else? What else?
Those are only two.
That's it.
I mean,
Chief,
I had more. I think
you
I
have
had more
anything,
slides
Chief?
on here, but,
Kevin covered it.
I'm
No, I
just.
think, yeah, we were, incorporating the public safety, the totality of it with the substation,
So,
PD there as well.
the
So
public
they have
safety,
a
okay.
presence as well.
No, I'm just looking at the clock here, and I want to kind of push it. Any others?
No,
Mr.
there's
Benway?
no other presentations. I just wanted to let you know, Mr. Mayor, Chief Azell is working with Michael Carroll for
Okay.
options. They donated the one site,
Right.
and he's preparing it, but he's willing to let us have another site to be used temporarily to
Okay.
bring something in so we can have the
He's
people.
willing to let us have it. He's not going to charge us for it.
He won't charge us for it.
Okay.
So we can have the safer grant people in place on time.
In place, okay.
And then in the meantime, we'd be able to construct the other location that's permanent. So he's willing to do that. I just
Okay.
wanted to answer your question that he is actively working on it
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
last time when I talked to Chief about it, like I told him that my concern, if the safer grant gonna kick in and then having a place for these people to work, we gonna hire them and be
We
working
can do it relatively quickly.
and everything, so we gotta get that done, and while we are building the station, make sure the station is up and running. We got them on board, we don't have a station for them to work in, okay?
And the future plans for that station too is for growth, so not just,
Yeah.
initially it's gonna probably have one truck
Yeah.
there, but we wanna build it out. Kind of similar to what Station 2 is now, where you have at least 10 bunks and multiple bays, so when that area does expand and we need more services down there, we have a place to put them, so.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
If there's no other, I don't think I'm trying to cut you, but I want to be done by 5 o'clock, because we do have P and Z coming, and I want to give chance for public to come. Yeah, you tell me that's everything. I didn't know if there's anybody, but we got a few minutes, but I wanted to
Thank you.
give anybody in the public want to come and talk about any of these items, they're welcome to come up and state the name and address. But anyone in the public want to address any of these items, if you can recall them, what we have, water storage, land purchase, pedestrian crossing, meters in the middle of public trade, safe, and fire station number 5.
So, if nobody else has it, we did talk with Taylor about Senate Bill 180 as well as Live Local. He felt like there was going to be some change on both of those. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. So like Live Local, he was looking at a number for the size of the county of say 750,000 as the cutoff. So if you're under 750,000, Live Local does not apply. I thought that was a fairly easy thing. So if we want to get on board with that, we'll see where he ends up, but that'll be a bill that would be something that he's carrying or is able to make that suggestion. And then on Senate Bill 180, he didn't know what that was going to look like, but he's going to get back with us. So, but he felt like there would be changes to both. So,
Well, my concern was we realized there was going to be changes last year, but they went the wrong way. What we thought they were going to do some improvements, they made the bills a lot worse last year. So that's one of my concerns.
I don't think that's the direction that I'm going. I think they've heard loud and clear from the cities as well as the constituents that they need to go the other way. So, but you never know with leadership up there. I mean, Tallahassee's weird.
Hello.
So, but just the feedback I got from Taylor, who has talked to them, felt like it was going to be better.
So is he going to introduce that for Live Local less than 750,000?
That was the one that he was supporting. He's not having ongoing talks with folks. I thought the 750 works. Last year I had suggested a radius. That was a little more difficult. I thought the 750 was actually a fairly easy, and we're a large, small county. So, anything smaller than us would, that would be great. And I don't know. I think it's a good spot to go with. And then he didn't have an idea on what would happen with Senate Bill 180 yet, but felt like there would be some changes there as well.
Okay, but then there's still some talk. He didn't have any thought on the property taxes, because there's still a lot of talk out there about eliminating property taxes. And I'm also hearing that they also talking about bringing back the doing away with CRAs, which could be detrimental as well.
Yeah, so those aren't bills that he's carrying, so we'll just see where those get filed. A lot of that stuff gets filed every year anyway. So, and like he said, a lot of the people who file these bills are filing them punitively against cities within their own county, and that's how we get sucked into it. Is that it's somebody in power who wants to be punitive, and then it hurts the rest of us. So
Right.
he said that this year was not a go along to get along year, and that he would fight for us on our needs. So
It's not a go along to get along.
no, he said this year we need to stand up to some of these legislators who are making bad bills, being punitive to people within their thing. And so I felt good coming away from the conversation. So.
Well, I think some of us been saying that for years. They need to stand up to some of these bad bills, and that's happening. I was totally disappointed last year on the Live Local, when I know in the room was hundreds of us in the room speaking out against it, but yet and still and each representative had negative comments about the Live Local, but yet and still everyone on voted yes on it.
So if we could, I don't think, the advice I've been given is that Live Local's not going away.
No.
So what we want to do is make a proposal that we think might fly. Mr. Howard, you in some conversation had said something about language that might restrict live local to within so many miles of a commercial district, or am I giving you credit where it's due?
Correct.
What is the language that you would add to live local?
So after talking with Taylor, he felt that that was more complicated and that just giving
Okay.
a straight cutoff as far as county size would be better.
Okay, what sizes
Because
are they recommending?
He said 750,000, and you got to remember that this is focused at Duval, Orange. So anywhere you name a large county, they're going to be larger than 750, or a large city. So Duval, Tampa, so Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, Miami.
So let me ask this, Mr. Howard, and if that goes through, it is projected Lake County at some point going to exceed 750,000. I think we're a little over 500,000, I think, right now. So what happened then once we hit that limit threshold?
We'll be a big city, and
We'll deal with that when we get there. I think we just said, let's kick the can down the road.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
no, you're not going to add 250,000 people here in any time. Any
Well,
short
we're
amount of
looking at
time.
a 70% growth.
The other parts of the county is growing faster than people think. Okay.
So I think, you know, that's probably, if he thinks he can pull off 750,000 limit, I think that I can support that. It makes sense. It's not a fight we need to fight today. I'll add something about that. We talked about it. We're kind of talking about it today, which is the sales tax. I'm really glad that you gentlemen brought it up, because what would be interesting to me would be if we could get a law passed that said a percentage of a city's or a county's, or however I don't want it all to go to the county, I would like it to come to the city, the sales tax generated within a jurisdiction would be guaranteed to come back. Because here we are asking for $1 million here, $1 million there, we're having to justify it. But the fact is, we put the businesses in place to earn it and to generate the sales. So it seems just that some of that should come back to the jurisdiction. And I understand the benefit of having a larger umbrella government. But if 100% is going to the umbrella government, then there's 0% guarantee that our citizens and businesses get that money back. And I'm a believer that decisions should be made at the lowest possible level. So if we were guaranteed, say, 25% of sales tax generated in the city of Clermont would come back to the city of Clermont, or 10% or 15, whatever the number that we thought we might be able to pull off, a statute that read that way, do we have any idea what kind of sales tax we generate within the city? See, we don't know. See, we don't even know. But maybe 2 million, we're asking for, what, 6 million? We might get 6 million a year just naturally.
In
over,
sales tax, you collect way more than $6 million a year in sales tax.
if we were to get a percentage of it, I'm saying. So if
Well-
we could get some sort of legislation that says, hey,
Bless you.
jurisdictions, bless you, get a percentage of their sales tax back guaranteed, then we don't have to go, piecemealing our requests. We'll know that money's coming.
You have way too much faith in the Republicans in Tallahassee who claim to be small government, because they're not. Let's just
I'm
call it what it
noticing
is.
that.
Well,
Faith,
well-
I'm the one that's voting no against everything.
Ms.
So,
Strange, I understand what you're saying. That's been one of my arguments for years and everything. We pay in all this money, and here's this problem I have with it. Lake County, and especially Clermont, is probably the biggest in part of paying more taxes than the rest of the county. I say South Lake, between Groveland, Clermont, Mascot, and Mineola. We have the largest area, and we probably pay more in the taxes than the whole rest of the county. But yet and still, we have very little services down here. The county provide very little services for us. The state, we get nothing from the state hardly. We have no control of anything, okay? And that's been always a concern of mine. So how do we go back and stop having to deal with the county? Everything going through the county, then we have to go beg for the county. We have to beg from the state, and we get nothing.
yeah.
Okay, so how do we go back and take control where we deal direct with everything and it comes to us? Even with this property tax, they were worried about sale taxes increasing to make up for property taxes they eliminated. My concern there was, okay,
But that doesn't come back to the city.
how do we get divided up that we get our fair share of it? See,
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting our fair share of sales taxes right now.
So I think those two go hand in hand, because the property tax issue has been coming up year
Right.
after year. Likewise, one of the items is the tourist development tax. So I want to talk about that today. But the property tax, and the sales tax go hand in hand, but you make an extremely valuable point, which is if we don't have property tax and we don't have the sales tax, how do we pay for the services that we provide? And is the purpose then to say, well, those cities don't exist or they can't exist? Like,
So we're not in the worst position. I mean, our
we're
millage this
not.
year is going to be
No.
4.59. There are counties out there with 8.
yeah.
But there's some out there with 9. The problem that you're going to run into is that, and this is the problem for the state's not going to be able to get rid of property taxes. They may be able to do something for those who have been homesteaded for 20 years or whatever that case may be. But writ large, they're not going to be able to get rid of property taxes. They would absolutely bankrupt cities.
Right.
Full stop. You would lose your police, you would lose your fire. It would be an absolute debacle. And there's no way that any sane person in Tallahassee is going to do that. I think it's fun. I'll be the first one to say personally, I love to see property taxes go away. I've owned a house in Clermont for more than a couple decades, so sure, I think I've paid my fair share. But at the end of the day, I also know that I don't want to see the services go away. So what's that balance? And, you know, I think that
Well, that's where sales tax could be a solution. I mean, do we feel like it's something worth talking to our legislative representatives about?
Well,
but sales tax is regressive. So now all of a sudden we're going to put that sales tax on the most vulnerable. And that's a
No, I'm
hard
just saying,
sell for me.
if the statute's read that if we generate it, a percentage of that is guaranteed to come back, even if it's in the form of grants, in some way, so that we're not sitting here saying, well, how much do we want to ask for? If we knew we were allocated 10 million in sales tax grants, as long as we could justify it or meet certain criteria, then we could put together the packages that we need to send up to the state to qualify for that funding. That's where I'm coming from. It's not to add to the sales tax. It's to whatever we're generating within our jurisdiction to be able to get some of that back to help us fund so we can keep property taxes low, so that we can provide the services that would increase the sales tax so that everybody wins.
The
That's where I'm
Tallahassee
coming from.
overlords don't trust us. It
Well,
really
you know,
boils
they
down
can
to
look
that.
in
I
a
mean,
mirror and we could all just say, look back at yourself every time you point a finger, right? So you're coming back at yourself.
They're not going to trust us. I mean, I get where you want to go, and in an ideal world, we can have that conversation, but it's not going to happen. They don't.
It's not gonna happen.
They just don't trust us with that. That's why they make straw bills. You know, oh, you can't have. You know, they make all kinds of. Listen, one of my favorite legislators made a law about balls hanging off of the back of trucks
I'm sorry, what?
years ago. Terry Baker.
Yeah, but
So anyway, you see all kinds of crazy bills and laws get passed because they have those things, because they know better than we do. And
Well,
you know,
yeah.
so
you're right, and I'm not gonna say, Mr. Howard, I have to disagree with you. I'm not gonna say they'll never get rid of property tax, because this is being talked up even more and more and more, and I know we fighting it last year, and I got 2 kids right now to fight it, to talk against it again, so it's coming back again. And here's the thing that scares me about the property tax: if they don't create the law, they mess around and put it on at a referendum on the ballot. I'm afraid it's gonna pass.
Yeah, me too.
I'm afraid it'll pass.
If
it
it's
get
on the
the
ballot, I
okay,
think it
and
would
then you
pass.
cut services. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
at the end of the
that's true.
day,
You
if
know.
they choose that, then they choose this.
Yes.
I mean,
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
then
that
again,
requires-
How do we, go back to Ms. Strange, how do we make up for that, you know, and I know the governor is already, of course, he'll be gone another year, but he's already said anything talking about increase in sales tax, he's gonna veto.
So-
Okay, so,
the thing that I'm going to tell you though is that I have more faith in our voters than that. We sat on school board and we did that 1/3 cent with the county and the cities, and the voters approved that. If you come to them and you say, please don't vote for this, here's why, they'll listen to that. And I don't think that we're going to get to that position. And I just don't think that the state would bankrupt writ large. I mean, and we're in not the worst. I mean, we're in good middle of the road shape. Anybody worse off than us would likely be bankrupted. And they're not going to do that. It would. I mean, I get that it's fun up there to talk to it and it's fun to throw red meat and do that kind of stuff, but it's just, I don't think it's an option.
So
I'm not going to spend my time
Well,
freaking out over it.
so, let's look back at this list. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items.
What about SB 180? What do we want to come from that?
You're gonna have to see what they come up with. It's gonna be a leadership decision in Tallahassee. They don't care what we think.
Do we want to give direction to our representatives so they know where we stand on it?
He's gonna bring that back to, it would be a leadership decision.
I mean, I would suggest we can prepare for it, but I suggest we waiting to see what changes they looking to try to do, if it's going to improve anything or whatever. We can prepare a statement, whatever.
We sent a
what we would like
letter,
to see.
right?
Huh?
We did send a letter
Yeah,
already.
Yeah,
Okay.
we sent a letter already and everything, but I just don't know what kind of changes they looking to do or anything right now. And again, I will let you all know that once the session go in every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, you get an update on all the bills, introductions, and everything else on the virtual. You can go on Florida League of Cities virtual phone call, whatever they want to do, call it, and get all the updates for an hour. It's about an hour call, and they give you all the updates on all the bills and what they all mean, who's introducing this and that. You can listen to that every Monday morning during session, okay? But for today, and so we can get out of here, I think I counted, 5, 6, 7, 8, how many? So we just gonna send all this here, and any priority we wanna put on on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 5, 6, how many was it? 6.
6. I'd like to hear what our representatives think about each one. I mean, from my standpoint, we want all of them, and what do they think they can support?
And that's essentially what he asked for, was to give him one page, let him read through it, see what he can support, what he thinks he can get through. And
But I would like to see the items 5 and 6 be tweaked a little from what we saw today to explain whether it's through the sales tax or it's the statewide benefit. I think that would help Taylor be able to speak to the advocacy for it. Otherwise, I don't want to not be taken seriously if we're immediately dismissed on one item and then we lose the credibility on the others. I just want to see them tweaked before they go. That's all. I'm not saying no.
and that's why, once this is done, Taylor will see it, Chris will see it,
Yeah.
we'll see it, and then it'll be finalized, and then Taylor will have it in November. He said that he'll be up there hard and heavy to write first part of November. That's what he's going up to do that first week, is to get all this done. So we'll be on the front edge of getting our stuff in, which they felt was important. And we also heard that from Chris when he spoke to us, that having this early was important. So we will be early rather than late, and that's why I asked for this, was to be able to move us through. And I'm comfortable with all of these. I think there's some other things we can do, but I think these are a good start, and it pulls some pressure off of us.
I'm sorry. Mr. Van Wagner, what's the sessions date, legislative session date? Do you have them dates?
I'll have to get that for you, Mr. Mayor.
And what date are legislative days that we'll be able to go to Tallahassee, I think?
They haven't given that to me yet, but I'll
Get
ask.
all that together and all, so. But I know the date's gonna be a little bit earlier, because
Yes.
it's election year, so it's gonna probably be in January or something. They're gonna start session this year. They usually start a little bit earlier, a month or so earlier doing
Chris
session.
was saying it would be earlier, but he didn't have anything nailed down yet for
Didn't
me.
have any set times yet, but no, last year was down in March, but then it wasn't election year. Usually election year, they move them up to about January and February, so a little bit earlier, so we don't have much more time, so if we can get that, whenever we find out those, and it's gonna be
Sure.
it sounds like it's gonna be a short time frame. We're gonna have to work with that, so, and let's stay on top of that and find out one of
Okay.
those, and, like I say, take these back to our representatives and everything,
Okay.
all of them are priority for us, I'm concerned.
A quick question before we break. Is the Hartwood Marsh traffic issue in any way connected to Orlando or Orange County, or is it all pretty much what Lake County and Clermont have done?
Lake County and Clermont.
I mean, it's
You
not
talking
a
about Hardwood Marsh
it's not a multi-county,
No, on the Hardwood Marsh, a couple of years back, Orange County, Winter Garden, they tried to do a little something on their end, on the Orange County side, where they tried to restrict trucks from using Hartwood coming through the Orange County, on the Orange County line on Hartwood Marsh about 2-3 years ago.
And we have the same issue going on at Schofield Road right now too, right? Where we've got cross-jurisdictional traffic.
So I got to sit through some exciting meetings yesterday. I was here all day. So if Dan would give an update, that would be awesome, because we went over this and I sat through with multiple county commissioners. I think we moved the needle.
Well, and here's where I'm coming from. If these should be state issues, and what to me would qualify that is when you're dealing with multi-jurisdictional issues. So if I'm going to Supreme Court, I need to have 2 different jurisdictions that have different opinions. If it's entirely within Lake County, I don't see the state jumping to help. But if it is an issue that relates to 2 different counties, you know, I think we could possibly approach a legislative solution, meaning anytime, you know, a policy, anytime that there is a multi-jurisdictional issue, like we're dealing with Conserve 2, some sort of guidance for how those issues are resolved, because otherwise it's just the big government that wins over the little government. And I could see that being something that could be addressed. If it's entirely within Lake County, I think the answer is go talk to your county commissioners.
Well,
So
and
that's,
that's the thing with our portion of Hartwood Marsh, it's all Lake County. It's in Lake County. And of course, county was dependent on funding from the state.
so,
that's
so,
the
so
issue.
talk
So-
to me
That's the
about
issue.
this, because
Yeah, that's the
Schofield and
issue.
Hartwood have the same issues
So-
as I see it.
Essentially, we had this. So essentially, because it's already funded by the state, DOT already says, here's your funding. The state's not going to get involved because it's already funded. So my argument to county commission yesterday,
But if it's funded, why aren't we getting the funding?
because it's not fully funded until 2032. So
32. They moved it. Moved the
So
needle.
what we've asked, or my argument to the county yesterday, was that taking a short-term loan, and they anticipated somewhere in the neighborhood of 4%, would be much cheaper in the long run to get this project started, when we know that roads have increased 30%, cost has increased about 30% over the past 2 years.
Right.
So by getting this started now, because there's no anticipated decrease in construction cost, that it would be wise to go ahead and take that short-term loan, move that forward. And there's another road in North Lake that is not as bad, but the representative up there is interested in getting that project moving along. So I think there's the votes to get it done.
But if this is DOT,
and
maybe it is legislative.
It's not.
Can I ask you, Mr. Howard, to say what it is? They're more interested in doing that project in North Lake than they are
It's,
here?
no. So they want the funding for both, and you have to have that funding mechanism to move both roads. So they want to move both roads at the same time. It sounded like this one was going to get approved, and that we could start as soon as summer of 2026. I will be going. I believe Dan's going to go. I spoke very aggressively towards some county commissioners to try to get them to move on this, and I think we have some movement. But it's, it is getting them on board. And we had some who were just super easy, and they were like, hey, 100% I'm on board, I get it. And some even surprised me. I was like, oh, okay. So like I said, I think the votes are there. We'll go, and
Okay.
I'll
Very
speak in favor of it again at the county commission meeting. But it's delicate. I mean, we're asking them to take a loan out to start a road that is causing us headaches, and it's not our road, but our residents are upset. And so, they can either do it, or we can start letting all the residents know why they can't get out of their subdivision. I mean,
I think they knew.
I'll be happy to let everybody know why,
Mr. Mathis, in that conversation yesterday, did the topic of the agreement for Hancock extension, did that come up yesterday?
I don't believe we ever talked about that.
we did
Okay.
not.
No.
'Cause
This was purely focused on trying to get,
Yeah, but we need to get on, as I spoke to you before, we need to get on that Hancock extension from Hartwood Marsh down to the 5 mile. As I told you, my understanding, the agreement, the end agreement is just that the county haven't signed the agreement. And we waiting on the signing the agreement, and the company is ready to start work as soon as the agreement is signed, and it's gonna take about 18 months to complete that, but we need that road done as soon as possible. So, all them homes they building down there, and then everybody coming out off of Hancock and Wellness, we'll have to come back from 5 Mile back up to Wellness Way out to 27 and get back until we can get that Hancock extension done. You know, so. And the other thing, did you verify that they on the Wellness Way Road and the Independence Way in Orange County? Did they? I know you told me they told you to maybe break ground 2 weeks ago, but did that happen?
Correct. They gave the notice to proceed 2 weeks ago. They started grading the land and cutting out the roads, and I believe it was a 484-day construction period.
Okay.
So it was, I want to say September, October of 26. I'll give you a report at the next council meeting.
Okay.
It's got all the dates on that.
So good. So that's gonna help us out a little bit with traffic, and everything once that complete, because Wellness Way will be able to go right into Orange County, across 429 again in Orange County, and what's that, Ford Garage area and all that, a very popular area where a lot of people is going right now, so we
when-
got Orange County to move that up.
When are our next meetings? I think there was some time changes, or I don't know.
While
We
he's
had a
looking
lot
that
this
up,
month.
I want you guys to be aware where some of the county commissioners are going to go on the ambulance service. We have some very, 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 very old agreements that were in place that we can't necessarily honor because of revamping Fire Station 2 and some other issues. So sort of the posture of some of them were that we were not serious about ambulance service in Clermont because we weren't giving them a place to be. I'm supposed to get information back on how much we were charging. Did you catch that yet?
We're not yet, I don't have it.
Okay, so I'm trying to find out what we were charging, if we were charging the county anything. They're kind of trying to lay this back on us, that it's our responsibility, that we should have done it. And I was very cautious not to go too far into the weeds with them, because it's their infrastructure. They should be supplying their own ambulance space and all of that. And they kind of put that back that it was us. So we found some possible solutions. Fire departments was working on those. They had to talk with Stoney. So some of that was the conversation earlier. But just be prepared that if they come and they say that we are not serious about fire because we didn't approve that location the other day. So there was a pushback that I did not necessarily appreciate. And so I just don't want you guys to be blindsided. You need to figure out how you're going to speak to constituents if that does come back. But I thought it was very disingenuous, and I was very clear that that was not the case with.
Well, you can let them know there's another place on Highway 50 that's up for sale right now, right next to Mickey Blackburn, next to Advanced Auto. That I think that may work for them, a little realty building right there. I just noticed it's up for sale, so if they want to purchase that and do it, I have no problem.
And so that was the thing, was that they don't have the money to do this. We are doing them a favor. I did let them know that they have gone backwards in their per capita ratios and such as that. So I just needed you guys to be prepared that I did push back, not as a representative of you guys, but I pushed back, and you guys need to know that there are those in the county who are saying that, well, we're not serious about it. So just so you know, because I was a little surprised at the tone, and
Here again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about Lake County, Clermont being the largest in the county, and we probably pay more than anybody, but yet and still we can't get into services, yet and still we foot the bill for just about the whole county, okay? You know, and now because we didn't give one, they want to blame it on us, but look at the money you collect from us in the South, and we can't get ambulance down here.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay for a building and everything. You want us to just give you everything? I think we paying our fair share in Lake County and South Lake anyway. And everything. One of like with the Florida League of Cities, I argue, hey, I'm in the Florida League of Cities for the county, and due to the way everything broke down, I pay twice as much as dues than any other city in out of the 14 cities that's in there. Yet and still, I only have one representative on the council on the city. So. How's that? Again, that's the problem I deal with. I feel like we have here in South Lake County. We pay our fair share, and we send most to the county and everything, but yet still, we get no real services in return. We have to fight for everything.
We made progress on the conversation, but I just didn't want you guys to be blindsided and.
Right.
So let them know, hey, that building is for sale, and I think that has a kitchen, that has bathrooms already, you know? Okay.
All right, next meeting?
Would you like me to give you these dates and times real quick,
Sure,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
We have a CRA meeting on October 14th at 2 o'clock. And then later that day at 3 o'clock, we have the council meeting on the 14th. Now, we had talked about a meeting on the 20th, but I'm not sure that that's necessary since we got through the legislative priorities so quickly. I can just have that on an agenda on the 28th, so we don't have to
Okay.
do that, if that would be agreeable. And then we had on the 21st, a workshop at 3 p.m.
And that one is,
That was water.
Yeah, it's the alternate water supply as well as the Veterans Memorial and the Live Well portion of the Meet Us in the Middle project.
Okay, that's on the 21st.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, I had a good meeting with Colin, too.
Yeah, he called me last night.
Okay. And then the 28th, of course, would be our
Yeah.
council meeting at 3 p.m. again.
He called me, he was happy with the meeting and everything, so I said, okay, thank you, you know, let him know and everything, so. Let him know I had spoken to you and we had talked already earlier that day, so thank you. Anything else? Hear nothing else? Need any?